Yeah, in 4K, like, honestly, it certain things give away that's an older movie, but it looks beautiful. It looks like in 4K, it looks really good. I'm not gonna say it looks like a modern movie per se, but it looks amazing. Like, the
Yeah.
cinematography is really good, so
Oh, you say there's things that give away that the movie was in the 70s. Could it be, you know, people and kids outside playing on the beach
there's
and not
definitely
on
that.
phones?
There's no phone. That's what stands out to me. I get nostalgic about seeing movies where people were literally just, like, enjoying their life, and when they're talking to each other, there's actual conversation and not, like, conversation, look down the phone, conversation, look down the phone. I don't know. To me, it looks like I know that technological advances have made things a lot easier for us. It's a lot of good with that. A lot of beneficial things about being able to send a text message to somebody who's far away. But there's something cool about, especially like the small town, no phones vibe. These people are just like living a very connected community life. And I don't know. I've never had that, so I don't know why I'm nostalgic about it, but it feels like a time that might be something interesting to be
Never
around.
had it. We grew up in the 90s, man. We had the tail end of it. You know, because cell
Yeah,
phones back in the 90s were those giant brick phones or
yeah.
phones you get in a damn car that barely worked to save your life. We didn't even really have internet until the 2000s. That's because dial up really wasn't all that great.
Well, dial-up was the worst. I mean, I maximized. I kept getting the AOL free trials, so I was doing like what I could with dial-up, but dial-up was the worst. Yeah, I guess you're right. I would say the '90s was the great in between time where there was some internet, so you had exposure to it, but it wasn't like overtaking your life where half your life was online the way it is now. Um, but even that, even the '90s wasn't like what I'm seeing here in the '70s is like literally just extremely present in the moment. Like whatever's happening in front of you, your mind is only focused on that. Like nothing technological. That
So,
seems like interesting to me too. So,
so then the question I got is, when was the last time you were at a beach?
well, famously or infamously, I guess you'd only know this if you went back and listened to our early podcast. But look, I don't swim. I don't go to
You don't need to
beaches.
swim to go to the beach, man.
I don't find any entertainment in laying on the beach. That doesn't sound like an activity to me. I mean, I guess I could bring a book or something, but the when I see in movies someone like laying on the beach and just like they're just laying there, I'm like, "Th- are you taking a nap? Like, is that fun? Like, is that how long? Is that your day? Like, I'm like, that's I could do that
So
for
you
20 minutes,
do
but
have short attention span.
oh my god, don't be that guy. It's no, it's really like I don't understand the appeal of just laying on the beach.
I mean, you
Um,
could have also been building sandcastles. Could have been
yeah, but
walking the beach, walking the water line, looking for some honeys.
why do I need my feet to be on fire? I guess I gotta wear sandals, but I don't want my feet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I
No, you
guess,
could
but
just walk on, like literally at the line where your feet are like ankle deep in the water.
yeah.
Again, just perusing. Didn't this movie at some point? Didn't this movie when it first came out actually cause beaches to lose money because people were too afraid to go to the beaches?
So apparently, there was like in the year or two after this movie was released, there was like different incidents of like kind of hysteria on the beaches. So there's two weird things about it. So it's like people would freak out at the first sign of anything, but then also people would play those pranks where they would like have the fake shit, the shark fin thing. So one kid like a year after had did that, and some other people beat him up for it. Like he got like seriously beat up because he had did this prank with the shark thing, and people weren't having that. So there was like a lot of stuff going on afterwards, like people doing pranks, people being scared. But the movie's filmed at a place called Martha's Vineyard. And so for that specific place, though, actually, which is kind of ironic when you think about what the movie's about, the movie being filmed there, tourism for Martha's Vineyard went through the roof after the movie came out.
Hmm?
So the actual filming location had a big increase in people coming there because hey, that's the one where they filmed Jaws. Which it's funny to think about what the movie's actually like, what's going on with the movie, but that increased tourism. So the place itself benefited, but in terms of like America, there was like a sometimes movies catch things that are like increase your awareness. So when the first Scream movie came out, it was something. It was kind of it's kind of wild thinking about this. It was something like 20% of households had caller ID on their phones, whereas someone calls your house phone, you could see who was calling. After Scream came out, within a year, that increased like 60%. So America saw that movie and was like, we need to be able to identify the caller who's calling us. So like sometimes something happens like that in a movie where like it actually changes how the country's doing things, how the world's doing things. So there's probably more awareness, but one thing to talk about is so the movie's based on a book. It's based on a novel, actually.
Peter Benchley is the
Yeah,
author. Yeah.
and the author said he kind of regrets the book. He said he wouldn't write the book again because the book and the movie, he said it does make sharks look a certain way that they're not. Apparently, sharks do not just randomly attack humans. They aren't vengeful or have any kind of like they gave the shark a personality where it seems like the shark is after them, right? He said sharks are not like just randomly attacking humans. So basically, the idea was the book and the movie made sharks look a little bit worse than they were and made people like afraid of sharks. And actually, also one effect of the movie was that in the years after, shark hunts became a bigger thing. So people were hunting sharks, and the idea is that sharks became like an animal that nobody had sympathy for. Everybody's like, "Oh, vicious, evil sharks, let's hunt them." So that became big because of the book and the movie too. And the author regrets that. He's like, basically, a lot of sharks died unnaturally because I'm putting out there that these evil things come and hunt humans are vengeful. So there was that effect. It actually affected sharks, and America now saw sharks as like, oh, this evil, dangerous thing. It's like that's really not what sharks are. Things happen, but they don't like randomly target people and things like that. So that was the effect of that as well. So it's kind of interesting.
I mean, the only thing I really knew about sharks per se is more often than not, if a shark does bite you, usually, granted, they're taking a good chunk. I mean, it's a shark.
Yeah.
They have some big feet or big teeth, but usually they don't come back for like a second or to actually eat you because apparently they don't like the taste of us.
Yeah.
How true that is, I'm not sure, but there are a good amount of survivors who said, "Yeah, a shark bit me," and then it just left. Took my
Yeah.
leg with it, but it left.
Yeah. The book and the movie, I mean, they're trying to tell a specific story with sharks. But yeah, because the shark has to kind of play the villain role here, the movie and the book, they're not like that, let's say, scientifically accurate in terms of how sharks act. And like the concern wasn't like, let's do an accurate representation of like, sharks. It's more like, okay, this evil shark has made this beach area like his territory, and he's gonna come after them. And when they're hunting them, the shark's actually saying, like, yeah, me versus you, one-on-one, let's out strategize each other's. There's all that going on in the movie, which probably isn't realistically. The shark usually probably just chilling, minding his business. Something happens to be in the water near it, eats it and all that, but it's making the shark like more of a no, sharks have brains, but it's making it like a bigger predator than it is, I guess, is
Yeah,
the
because
idea. So
I will say now that you bring that up, the first half of it is the first half makes a lot of sense in the form of the shark made it its territory. So, if something's in its territory, it's going after it, whether for food or to defend its own territory. And then, as you brought up, when it gets to the last half, all of a sudden it's just these guys versus a shark. Shark will not leave them alone. The shark is actively hunting them, which
at the end, the shark is like engaged in this idea of like, okay, I'm trying to outthink these humans to kill them, and the shark keeps coming at them, and it's kind of like that's like a level of awareness that the shark probably isn't like, oh, I'm engaged in like a fight against these hunters. That's
mm,
probably not really happening in that way of like, yes, the shark is always going to defend itself, but the shark actually part of its personality being like, I'm coming after you three, like, and I'm making a point to keep circling around, and I want to kill you. Like that stuff is all just like in the movie, but it's
I feel
probably not
like
that level. So
yeah, I feel like in real life, the minute the sharks usually leave boats alone because it's not something for them to eat. The
yeah,
other thing is, once the shark gets that first hit on it, it's not coming back to that. It's just going to swim away.
yeah, yeah. So the movie did have like, and it's true. Actually, growing up, I didn't know it was I didn't know it was mostly from Jaws, but I did always see sharks as like evil, basically. Like I said, they're not inherently evil, but I'd see sharks as evil because it just sounds like, oh my god, the stereotype is like, yeah, they see a human being and they're like, oh my god, the Jaws music comes on, they just come in circle and eat the poor kid. Like people, that's how they perceive sharks, and that's a lot of that is because of the fear mongering that this movie caused. But also, to be fair, Jaws not advertising itself as, hey, this is a true story that's factually accurate. They're telling you a fictional tale. So they're using a real animal, but what they want to do creatively, they're not promising you like this is a documentary for Shark Week on Discovery Channel. So you gotta take it for what it is. So
I guess that's
um
why the other Peter Benchley movie I watched was called Peter Benchley's Creature,
yeah.
which was a sci-fi mini series. He that definitely was not a shark. It had shark-like features at the start of it, but
Yeah.
then it somehow grew arms and legs and became some kind of mammal amphibian.
Give me a second. I just want to find they actually gave the shark a name, but I'm forgetting. Hold on.
Jaws.
No, 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 no. There's actually there's actually a fun name for it.
Jaws shark name.
Oh,
How about you?
oh yeah, okay. So the shark is called Bruce.
Bruce.
And this is kind of funny. Spielberg named the shark Bruce because that's what his lawyer's name was. So so yeah, so technically like throughout productions like that, they're calling the shark Bruce. Now, one thing this movie does is that to get in the movie now a little bit, we kind of talk about the background. You know, they're obviously building like a mechanical shark here, right? So um and Steven Spielberg, as he was doing it, he would bring his other director friends during the process to show him and be like, hey, he kept trying to get feedback of like, how realistic does this look? Does this look scary to you? And his director friends would be like, yeah, looks good, looks good. By the time they got to film it though, he wasn't confident how the shark looked. So he made a decision basically like, he's like, if I show too much of the shark and it looks bad, it's going to kill the whole movie. So he's like, I got to film this in a way where you just don't see that much of the shark throughout the movie. So the shark itself, like in terms of actually like a full blown visual of the shark, it comes in like very small doses. It's very little screen time actually, but it was a choice of like him just not being confident that like I can't just like have this shark front and center because if it looks silly at all, then it kills the whole movie. So a lot of the stuff that seems like, oh, this is meant to be suspense, like just showing the point of view of the shark, the music, a lot of that stuff is kind of like him not wanting to show the shark. So like in a way, it kind of works out. It makes it a little more suspenseful versus like throwing the shark in the viewer's face. Um, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So there's a lot of that going on. The movie actually, so this I did know. When it came out, it was the highest grossing movie of all time. So it's the first movie ever to make over $100 million at the box office. It's the first $100 million movie. It's the first summer blockbuster. It's actually the grandfather of the idea of a summer blockbuster. Now, the budget actually, this is going to sound pretty crazy, but this is the 70s. So the budget's only $7 million, apparently. $7 million, apparently, is the budget. Which I almost got to reconfirm because it sounds ridiculous. I would think it's a much bigger budget than that. But
I mean, I feel like 7 million in the 70s would have been about probably hour 20 now.
Right. So 7 million. So imagine 7 million. In the United States, in Canada, it grossed 267 million, and worldwide it grossed 477 million. So we're talking like
boatloads.
So Star Wars would come out a few years later and then become the highest grossing movie. But up until that point, Jaws, they said 67 million people in America went to see Jaws when it came out. 67 million people. So low key, beyond it being a good movie, this is like originally like at the time like a huge box office hit. So this summer, everybody in America would be talking about Jaws. Like, have you seen Jaws? Have you seen Jaws? So it was like a cultural phenomenon. Steven Spielberg, the director, obviously would go on to be one of the biggest directors of all time. So
of course, with Steven Spielberg's biggest movie being a dinosaur movie called Land Before Time.
What? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at Spielberg's like his IMDb, you're like, oh my god, it's like there's so many big movies. Like that dude might be the GOAT, honestly.
Was it Close Encounters with the Third Kind or E.T. he did?
Both.
Oh, he did both.
He did both of those. He did Indiana Jones,
Jurassic
um,
Park, I believe.
Jurassic Park. Um,
Like you
there's
said, Land Before Time.
there's so many. I'm probably leaving stuff out, but he's had his like his thing. He's had his name involved with so much stuff. And this is like one of his earlier directing movies, so he's still kind of learning at this point. But I think the movie does a good like there's a couple there's one or two I would say actually decent sort of jump scares, like when they find a dead body at the bottom of in the water on a boat. That was actually a
Oh
pretty good
yeah.
jump. It's a pretty good jump scare actually. There's
For
a couple
me, the
times.
one that got me was when it was the during the last hour and the shark jumped up out the boat trying to get, I believe it was Hooper.
Yeah, yeah, that was good. That was good. Spielberg, he had a fun quote though. So I don't know if it applies, but he was like during test screenings after watching the audience, because and Spielberg didn't go on to really make horror movies like that, so it's just like his interpretation. He was like, he's like with most movies, he's like his takeaway was you can only do one really good jump scare, because he said once you do the jump scare, before that, the audience is kind of in a neutral mode, right? So when you hit them with a big jump scare, you get them right. But after you get them the first time, it's like they're on guard for the rest of the movie. So like the second and third jump scare, it's impossible for it to hit the same way the first one did because they're already like on guard after the first one. So it's like that first one has to be like maximum, put that first jump scare first as the best. But he said like they'll be less effective as you do more jump scares because once the audience is used to it, or once you get past the first one, it's like it's like the initial drop of the roller coaster. Everything else after that is probably not going to be as like freaky. I'd have to like test that to see like, are most jump scares the best ones always like the first one the movie gives you just because you're not used to it or you're not sort of. It's an interesting idea. Like I said, he's not even a horror director, but it's just an interesting idea. Like maybe that's true. Maybe you should only have one or two jump scares and make that first one, the
I
best.
mean, he may not be a horror director, but there is a good amount of his movies he still throws jump scares in. Like let's
Yeah.
think about Jurassic
Oh
Park.
yeah. Jurassic Park has some scary moments, I would say for sure. Um, but he's also known for big time special effects, of course. But then he always does a good job. I think he never forgets the story or the characters. Like it's never just like special effects with no story. So there's always like a good attention paid to the script and the other things, and that's what stands out about this movie. I'm gonna read to you the so IMDb does a thing now where they it must have just started this recently, but before you go to the user reviews, they have a summary of the user reviews where the summary, I guess, tries to just sum up the overall sentiment. Rotten Tomatoes does this with like critics consensus.
Hmm. Must be
So
new because I've never seen it on there.
this is the first time I saw it with this, and I was like, oh, interesting. And I was like, oh, okay. So just trying to get a feel for what the audience says. So their summary is reviewers say Jaws is acclaimed for revolutionizing the film industry with its summer blockbuster concept. It is praised for suspenseful storytelling, practical effects, and John Williams' iconic score. Central themes include fear, survival, and nature versus human ambition. Performances by Roy Schneider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw are lauded for depth and chemistry. However, some find the first half slow and shark effects dated, though the second half's tension is celebrated. So that's interesting. So they're putting that in the consensus. Some find the first half slow and the shark effects dated. I like the first half because to me there's an interesting story thing going on, but I can
Yeah,
see where the second half gets more into like action type, adventure type stuff. So that's pretty cool to see that summary, and it's the positives of stuff we're talking about. Basically, it's like yeah, it feels like a big epic movie. You have suspenseful storytelling, great main characters, but and I guess yeah, like I said, obviously right now the shark effects now probably won't hold up; they'll be dated by now. But
I mean the shark effect still looked pretty good when I watched it.
I thought so too. I thought that if he was scared, that's gonna look ridiculous. I was like, I thought, especially for then, I'd have been like, oh shit, shark. Nothing to me. It didn't look like a guy wearing a shark suit or anything like silly like that. So,
And
um,
as for the first hour, I have to say we really did need that whole hour. I don't
yeah,
think there did not feel like a single wasted scene for it. All the characters are well acted, and of course, makes it even more believable.
yeah,
The only thing I don't believe is this is supposed to be an island, right?
yep,
So the mayor wants everyone on their beaches, which is fine. But you're on an island. You're surrounded by water, which
Yeah.
means you're most likely surrounded by beaches at all ends of the island. If the shark has made claim to a certain section of the water, why not move your tourists to the other side?
Hmm.
Sure, it's probably more residential on that side, but at the same time, you can get have your cake and eat it too. It's like we close down the beach with a dangerous animal and have our tourists still on a beach having fun in the water.
Yeah. So we had looked up basically because that's like again, the first half of the movie, the tension is all based on the idea of as things escalate, should the beach be closed? Should it just be heightened security? So that's like the whole first half of the movie. But the second half is going to be more about actually hunting the shark. But the first half is just about the idea of is the mayor correct or is Brody correct? Now you had looked it up basically. What was your you looked up kind of procedure.
Yeah, so I wanted to look up the procedures of what beaches would do in this particular case.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is probably more of a modernized procedure. It was probably different in '75, but because me and you were talking, and we thought, the most likely beach after one attack, beach would probably close for like 24 hours for people to go out, look around, but then ultimately reopen up during at least until a second attack.
Yeah.
But what I saw was pretty much exactly what we said. The procedure is get everyone out of the water,
Yep.
attend to the victims, but also at that point close the beach and wait for a time and have people out there looking for the animal. Not really to kill it, but because if they can, they would rather divert it away,
Yeah.
get it back into the open ocean, away from the town, away from the beach. There's
Yeah.
a reason why there's a lot of beaches that actually has a closed off area going further into the open water.
Okay. So interesting. Okay. So now let's bring it back. So Brody is a new police chief on the in the town.
Who's afraid of water?
It's afraid of water.
I hate
Who
to I hate to know what his wife smells every night. If he's afraid of water, he ain't getting a bath.
well, he's afraid of water, but maybe it's just like the large body of water.
Oh, it's the
So,
salt water. He doesn't like salt in his water. Okay.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, he comes from New York, so he's a recent new police chief. We both surmise that if he doesn't like water, maybe he came to town because either his wife convinced him or there's some money reason for him to maybe have taken a promotion or something where this made sense. Otherwise, maybe it's not the best location
I
for this
mean,
specific guy. So,
for me, it could be two things. The first one is because the way the wife talks in the beginning. I mean, I asked you this if she was just there or there's anything about her. She's just there. But
yeah.
when we first meet Brody and the wife says, here in Amity, we say it like this because,
Okay.
he was using his New York accent. I was thinking, okay, so I guess she's from here and they met in New York with her going there for work or something. I don't know. But the other thought is because he was a New York cop. We don't know if he
Yeah.
was police chief in New York or not, but maybe he got tired of the how chaotic New York can get,
Mm.
and he wanted a small town just to kind of just be able to relax. In
Well,
a sense, get an easy form of the job.
they have a little monologue he's giving where he's talking about the idea of like how much crime there is in New York. So they did make it like they framed it like he was sick of New York. So maybe that was it. But okay. So one thing to ask is that you said something interesting before about maybe closing off one side and then opening other sides.
Yes.
Is it possible that on this island that there's multiple towns on the island? So even though it's an island, they have a specific town that has their beach, and then like the other side of the island is like some other town. And
Mm,
the towns are in competition for like come to our beach versus going to the other beach.
so
Because that would make sense then.
the only reason I say no is because we do get a throwaway line during the stupid attempt
Yeah.
of two fishermen in a dinghy, nonetheless, trying to catch a shark. Of what if the sheriff catches us? And they even state the sheriff lives on the other side of the island.
Okay.
So to me, that kind of tells me that the island is small enough that this one town is most likely the only town. I feel like
Okay.
what they most likely set it up is tourist side for one side, and the other side is where you get your more residential, where the locals live.
Okay. Now, with that in mind, so building on that, then, is it possible the island is small enough, the body of water is small enough that if there was a shark there, you couldn't really trust the idea of like, hey, close off one side. The body of water is small enough to where the shark could probably still get to the other side and still be dangerous. So it's like basically all or nothing. Close the entire town beaches, handle the shark, or if it's small enough to where it doesn't make sense, so you can't be like, well, just swim on this side. But then you're like, oh, well, within a day or two, the shark could come to that side and kill them too. So you have to do all or nothing. So that's the other possibility about not being able to close off one side versus like the other side.
I
Yeah.
guess it also depends on where the local beach would be for all the tourists.
Yeah.
Like if it like with our guys who made that statement was on like one section of the beach, like maybe at the very end of the tourist beach, but
Mhm.
most of the tourists is maybe on the north side, say,
Yeah.
and the sheriff lives maybe on the west side. Yeah, it all depends on how big the island is. We never really get that.
So I'm only thinking that because like literally the mayor and the police chief, they never even consider the idea of like close off one side and keep the other side open. They're both of the mindset of like beach is open, beach is closed. So for them, it's not even like a reality of like the idea of like, hey, what about closing? So it seems like for them, it not even being an option is almost you have to go with the idea of like, well, they would know if there's an option to do that, they would be the ones that know. So it's almost like you got to go with the idea of like it's fully closed, fully open, and the tension is there because that's a good in between option that the mayor would probably be like, okay, yes, maybe a shark, let's do that. Oh, but so there's a couple things though. So there's a lot of different angles to it. So okay, after this first shark attack we get at the beginning, right?
Yes.
One thing in play is that it's not confirmed for them that it is a shark attack. Now, you find a body that's way and you make, some assumptions, but they're talking about boat propeller accident, different things that could have happened. So from the marriage perspective, maybe that there's some grace in this first attack of like, well, shit, anything could happen to that girl. We don't know for sure that's a shark. Like technically, it being a shark isn't confirmed until what's his face Hooper's going to come to the island.
Uh,
So now I
Actually,
believe, right? Is that correct?
their local coroner who did the autopsy of our dead girl told our cop it was more than likely a shark attack because that's what he had to write on his thing.
Well, most likely, yeah. I mean, there's like I said, there's an assumption. I'm trying to give a well. Listen, there's no passer. I mean, I think okay after this first attack, right? The reaction is kind of like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. Keep the beaches open. They do it. Brody is like actually hyper conscious of like, and that's going on. And then unfortunately, the shark does come and eat a kid.
Yep.
Now with this second attack, I can't really give any grace to anybody because at this point it's like, what are you doing? Clearly, you had two attacks now. Like, but the other thing I wanted to bring up is that even with the whole close off one side, keep one side open, the main thing about all this is that you can't let the public know that there's a shark. So, because now it's not about being closed, it's about you say that, and now nobody wants to come there. If you were in that town and it's explained to you, like, hey, there's a shark in the water, but they're saying he's in this body of water, so they close that off, but we can go swim over here. I'm saying, no, we're just not going to go swimming at all.
Well,
You're telling me that there's a shark there, but you want me to get in the water over here. I'm like, the common reaction is gonna be like, well, let's just not swim this year. I mean, you're saying there's a shark somewhere in that region. It's like, so you have to keep the whole thing hidden. So if you do that, close one thing off, you have to make up some excuse. You have to be like, well, there's some construction going on over here or something.
you could
But you can't talk about shark attack, shark death. That's gonna scare people into like not coming to your town anyways.
So I'll make this one. They could say maybe an oil spill that they're currently cleaning up. That could
Oh,
be
great. So
one thing.
the damn Cloverfield monster is going to be beyond Jaws. They're going to wake up the Cloverfield monster by
Right.
drilling They'd be
because
drilling there.
they're drilling under, trying to get that special ooze for your snow cones.
I knew this was a Cloverfield prequel. I knew it.
But
Everything was
no,
connected to
but
Cloverfield.
like I say, you can easily make up. I understand not wanting to mention there's a shark. You can easily make up something of why they can't be on that specific part of the island.
Yeah.
But the other fuck.
Because the mayor makes the point of like, he tells Brody, he's like,
Oh yeah.
he's like, hey, if you say barracuda attack, we're good. He's like, but if you say shark, you're killing our summer pretty much. You're killing our
Well, I
business.
mean,
So his main thing is really just like, you cannot let it out here but now eventually it comes out naturally, but which
well,
is stupid that people would still come to the beach after that. But that's a
well,
different
the
story.
thing is, from the way I see it, because skip the whole dead kid thing, and all the tourists are now there. The mayor's already got their money. They're already there in town. They still have to eat. They still got to do all this. All your businesses are still going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not swimming right now. Understand that the water is kind of a selling point, would be a big selling point, but at the same time,
Yeah,
there's a good chance that they'll still come back the next year, especially if they read in the papers, oh, the shark, the shark, there's no deaths there anymore, so the shark must have left. If they even think there's a shark.
I don't know, man. I
But
get
at
it,
the same
but
time,
don't you feel like this is like being in part 7 of Friday 13th, where like someone tells you ahead of time, like, hey, yeah, Jason killed a bunch of teens here 5 years ago, but they got him. He's dead. I'm not going to Crystal Lake. I'm not going to be in part 8 and be like, oh, yeah. Like, if I'm like, now with the internet, it'd be a lot worse now. With the internet, it would be like, hey, where are you going? Jimmy's Beach. Oh, there was a shark attack last year at his beach, but they got the shark. I'm like, well, we'll just find a different beach to go to. Like, it'd be that simple. Like, well, shark attack last year. Like, oh, they caught the shark. The shark, they caught it. What about there's a new shark there? Like, I think that kind of thing can kind of kill the reputation a little bit. Maybe
yeah,
like back then they weren't thinking that way as much, but I think the mayor's thinking like literally like, okay, if this gets out of hand, we're killing this summer's business. We're maybe affecting next year's business. Like,
to be
I can see his
fair, they've
I can see
already
his perspective, but
affected their business anyway with those damn kids. And I'm even talking about the ones in the pond where the shark. If it's
oh yeah,
supposed to be a pond, I don't think the shark is small enough to be able to swim in it. I've always assumed ponds were supposed to be small bodies of water, but according to this movie, they're not.
they have a scene where they show the shark like very close to the beach,
Right.
where it's like there's no way the water is that deep, but they show the shark there. I'm like, would the shark come to like that level of like it was like maybe 3 feet deep at where the shark was? It's like doesn't
I
make sense.
mean, without it being beached, no.
Um, okay, maybe the best in between here, pretty much that we're talking about is like close the beach with some other thing of like, oh, we're doing an oil thing, something like make some excuse, close the beach, kill the shark, then reopen it. So you have to have the best of both worlds. Don't create a shark panic, but yes, close the beach with something that's going to be like temporary. You tell them afterwards, we cleaned up all the oil and everybody's back. I think you get the best of both worlds where you close it, you fix the problem, no one dies, you haven't killed the reputation. But I can see, but that's got to eventually kind of gets to that, but that's got to be the mayor's just like, hey, let's keep it open. We can't have any whatever.
The mayor
And
is an idiot,
and
though.
he has the final say over Brody, I guess, in this situation,
So
right? So
I feel like, again, this is just feeling, and I'm pretty sure it's more like this nowadays versus in 75.
yeah,
But I'm pretty sure when it comes to people's safety, the police, especially the chief of police, has final say. Because the mayor is supposed to keep the town running, sure. The police are supposed to make sure people don't get hurt. So if there's something potentially harmful to people, I feel like the police chief has the final say there.
do you think that's because of this movie? This movie came out and they're like, let's actually give the police chief more control than the mayor, so we don't end up in this Jaws situation.
Well, it's also possible that's why they make police dumb now in movies.
What's interesting though is that okay, so the time period makes the whole thing. So in this movie, when shit really starts to pick up is when Hooper shows up because he's an expert on the topic and he can actually examine the bodies and confirm shark attack and let you know where to go. in today's world, I'm guessing that they get that oceanographer person like very quickly. It's usually like a phone call or an online web chat, or they're already on the island. So most of these like beach towns probably have somebody already there who like on the same day could confirm shark attack. So probably the things would happen more quickly. The knowledge would be like their information would be a lot quicker to make a good decision. Whereas this movie takes what 3-4 days for Hooper to get there. And then really he gives you an actual guideline of like, listen, this is a shark. It's a big shark. The yeah, and then they're like, they're just hiring freelancers to go out and like, get the shark. And the mayor,
While
when they,
Quint is just sitting there laughing his ass off.
he's like, they're sending a bunch of stooges to do a man's job. Um, and the mayor's got to be happy hell to see like they catch one shark. It's like a small tiger shark, and the mayor's like, yeah, we caught the shark. Yeah, it's all good. And luckily, Hooper's gonna be like, the size of the mouth, the bite size doesn't really match with the victim. So you need someone to actually say that. Otherwise, this town just goes on and be like, we caught the shark. Yeah. Someone has to be like, the bite radius doesn't match.
What are you talking about? They still did that.
Well, they did, but yeah, I guess they did. The mayor was still like, hey, but
well, I mean,
but they have the idea of like, okay, there's only one way to confirm for the mayor's like, we're gonna have to at some point open up the shark and see what's in its stomach. So
yeah, I mean, I understand the mayor's point of view of I don't want to do that here in the street and with the potential chance of that little kid falling out of that stomach.
Well, when they suggested, I don't know if Hooper actually meant like, let's do it right now.
Well, yeah,
but the mayor offered that. It's like, it's absolutely right. Yeah, if you can't take any chance of like a dead body being in the stomach and you open it up. That would be that would be like what the, even when they're
in the street like that.
I didn't remember the movie, so when they're actually opening the shark up, I was like, I don't remember what happens, but I hope they don't find like a dead body remains in the shark. Like that was interesting, the idea that the shark digestion takes so long that it would still be there like days later, I guess. But okay, so point being, luckily Hooper shows up and now we can actually get stuff done. The novel, I guess Spielberg made one. Spielberg and the writer of the movie, they changed some things from the novel for the better, I feel like. It makes me want to read the novel a little bit, but this may blow your mind. The novel has a whole subplot of Hooper having an affair with Brody's wife. Like it's actually in the novel that, which in this short amount of time that Hooper's there, he gets together with Brody's wife, and now you have like a love triangle situation.
I mean, Brody doesn't sound like it would.
She's like, "Oh, Hooper, you're not afraid of water, huh? All right, okay."
And if she is from that town, to be fair, I feel like she would want someone who's not afraid of water.
It's kind of like when I watch the scene of them at the dinner table and they're drinking the wine. It is like him and her carrying the conversation while Brody's just like in the background getting drunk. But with the casting and how Brody's character is, he's there like basically focused on the shark. It's just in the movie itself, it would not make any sense to like have that happen. So that was a good job. Just being like, nah, that's going to be like a weird take that out.
I do got a question for you. Yeah. In the scene where the kid gets attacked, was that his wife rubbing Brody's shoulders, or was that a different woman?
Different. No, wait. No. That I'm sorry. That his wife was there. That was his wife. Yeah.
That was okay. I was about to say because his wife is barely shown in the movie. At least her face is barely shown. Yeah. So it's hard to recognize her, in my opinion.
Well, that's why I think in the book, probably based on the whole cheating subplot, that the wife has a bigger character in the book. But then the movie, I think they smartly say like, hey, we need to focus on the three main guys here and the shark. And that's kind of because the whole second half of the movie is going to be them on the adventure to get the shark. So you gotta build them basically. So thank goodness I like Hooper and Brody's relationship. They don't need like some weird tension of like him being attracted to his wife or anything like that. That would seem so out of place in this movie. So thank goodness I took that out.
Well, I mean, they still added tension between Hooper and Quint. And again, I don't know the book. I don't know if that was in the book. But these two would not stop. I mean, Quint obviously still smarter because he's hunted sharks. He's a shark hunter.
Yeah.
And of course, Hooper's like, "Hey, I know boats. Like, good for
You
you.
know,
I'm a fisherman."
it's a really good characterization because you have like the experienced person versus like the book smart person about the thing. So like maybe on paper, um, Hooper can tell you the mechanics of the thing, how this works basically. But if he actually was like, here are the parts put together, Quinn can be like, okay, I'm gonna actually put it together. But maybe Quinn can't break down, this is why this does this, this does that, but he knows how to put together. Whereas like Hooper can give you the science behind it. So it's like they both have value, but it's like experience versus like actual, it's like knowledge versus actual like applied knowledge, like somebody who's been on the boat for 10 years or somebody who just went to like ocean college and like studied it. It's like they both have like a use. If you can combine both, it's good. But I think that's kind of like the tension there of both of
And
them
then you
being
got
like,
Brody.
both of them are kind of like, this person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about in their opinion. So
Yeah, and then you
Brody,
get Brody.
Brody's the perfect in-between character. Now, interesting. So the actors who play Quinn and Hooper, they did not get along in real life at all. So the actor who played Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss, he came out and said like, the worst thing about Jaws was just how that actor treated me. He said there was like being bullied on the set, a lot of stuff was said. Now the actor who plays Quinn was actually in real life an actual alcoholic. So like
No.
everybody on set is worried because actually he's drinking like in between scenes, he's drinking like throughout the movie basically to a point where he's joking with the crew. He's like, man, I wish I could stop drinking. So like the Quinn character, he's kind of like the actor is like kind of, and that spills on the screen. So that tension that he has with those two, like it's kind of like it's real. Like that when they say cut, they still don't like each other. So it's kind of like I guess it makes the movie better because it kind of shows on screen, but that dynamic they have in the movie is like actually happening in between scenes in real life. So maybe Quinn's just more like you don't know how to act or like whatever. Like it's just not specific to like being a fisherman, but that was there basically.
Well, to my
Um,
knowledge, Quinn is the actor that plays Quinn. Was it Robert Shaw?
yeah,
He also, I believe, he was a more veteran actor than
yeah.
Roy and Dreyfus because he was around longer.
They were, yeah. There was Roy was in a movie called French Connection before this that I guess Spielberg had liked, but the studio wanted somebody else other than Roy, but they kind of Spielberg I guess fought to make sure he got the part. And then Dreyfus had one other big movie before this, but his mostly his thing was going to be more afterwards. Um, but yeah, so and they definitely wanted Robert Shaw, but so that was they had that tension there. Now, one thing with Hooper, so in the novel and in the script, in both of those things, Hooper dies in both things. So Hooper surviving is based on a technical snafu that I'll explain. It's very interesting. Again, maybe this makes you want to read the book or not, but the love plot makes me kind of curious, but kind of like that's kind of weird. But
That's right.
okay, when Hooper goes down into in the cage, right? His idea to like this is the only way to get the shark, right? That's a scene where they actually they filmed an actual real great white shark in the water. And their idea was that for his death scene, at the last second, we're going to get real footage of the great white shark attacking the cage. We're going to provoke it, have it attack the cage, and we're going to have a dummy inside the cage that looks like Hooper, but it's a dummy, and the shark will rip the dummy to shreds, but they'll film it in a way where it looks like he's ripping Hooper apart.
Right.
So they spent a long time trying to get this right, and they were like, this is like a shot in the water. It can't be the mechanical shark. It has to be like a shark attacking a cage. It has to look like a natural movement that the mechanical shark can't do. So like, okay, so they spent a lot of time building the cage, everything. But apparently they couldn't provoke the properly right to actually the shark, they couldn't provoke it properly to actually attack the cage the way they wanted. So they're spending all day trying to get the footage. So the one time they're able to do it, right, where the shark actually properly attacks the cage, for some reason, I don't know if it's a screw up or what, but they had forgot to put the dummy Hooper in the cage.
Oh gosh.
So the shark actually attacks like an empty cage. So when they go and review the footage, they're like, okay, we have one really good shot of the shark attacking the cage, but there's no Hooper inside the cage. So Spielberg's like, all right, we're gonna separately film that Hooper swims down to the bottom and hides, pretty much. Because they're like, we can't get this footage now. We got the footage. Hooper has to live then because we're not gonna like show the shark with an empty cage and like be like, oh yeah, he killed Hooper. It's like we're gonna have Hooper do that. So him surviving is just strictly a technical snafu of like the shark attacking the cage and the dummy not being in the cage when the shark attacks it, but then still wanting to use the footage that they tried to so hard to get the real shark to actually attack the cage. So so afterwards, then they film everything with Hooper alive at the end. So, but that's strictly why Hooper's
Would
alive.
it not have made some sense then? After that, you can still have Hooper like swimming down to try and hide, but then you switch out the real shark with a mechanical shark and have the mechanical shark come in and eat him.
I don't know. I guess in their thinking they were like screw this. Just like maybe they were on the fence about that, but they wanted to probably keep it like, okay, well, he dies in the novel, so let's do that. So maybe that was that, but I mean, it still works out fine. Like you don't need Hooper to die here. But I don't know what thing it was, but it's interesting to think about. I know that the reason to kill Quinn is strictly that Quinn is such a tough character that it's hard to be afraid for our heroes when you have Quinn, because Quinn's the badass, man. He's gonna take this shark out. Quinn ain't losing, so you gotta take him out.
I will bring this up. So Quinn has never hunted a great white before.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he even said that. So him doing the exact same things he does to the smaller sharks and them not working is making me think, dude, shouldn't you have assumed these wouldn't work? Like maybe added something to it? Like, because he said, oh, 3 barrels, the shark's not strong enough to drag 3 barrels down. Then, of course, the shark does it and he's all shocked. I'm like, feel like if 3 barrels is the limit for most sharks, you should probably add one more to a great white.
Quinn has a bit of a, I've been doing this for so long, I'm set in my ways, and I have like a pride about being right or wrong. So he does have a thing of more like, maybe that's like the thing, like it's like an animal, like the man's ego. He's just like, this is how we do it. This is how we catch a shark, and I'm sticking to this plan. And this shark is like, well, this shark doesn't fit the plan. So he does have a little bit of that sort of, even the way he like runs things on the boat, and like the boat's like falling apart mechanically because he's like overheating shit, like doing all this stuff that's like kind of like, it's like, are you sure this is the right path, Quinn? But Quinn's such a tough character till the end. You're like, he knows what he's doing. I still feel until the end, I'm like, oh, whatever's going wrong, they have Quinn. So when you have a character like that who's just like so overpowering, it's like you have to get rid of him because you have to like force the weaker character to like take a stand. Now, the logic of killing Hooper might be like, okay, we lose the muscle in Quinn. Now let's make him lose the brains in Hooper. So, okay, you lose Quinn, but at least maybe Hooper can come up with a plan. So it's like, and they make sure Hooper does not come up from the water until after it's all solved. So you can see where like him being dead is like, oh, well, the ending they have with Brody doesn't involve Hooper. So it's Hooper's supposed to be dead. So it has to be Brody versus the shark one-on-one. There's no other reason why Hooper's actually at the bottom of the water the entire time and doesn't swim back up. It's strictly because that's not our ending. So yeah, maybe the idea is like kill Quinn, you lose the muscle, kill Cooper, you lose the brains, and now Brody, who's afraid of water, has to like actually himself take out the shark. Which this ending, Spielberg filmed it, and the studio hated because they're like, this movie's so realistic, and then you do this like oxygen tank in the mouth thing seems like unrealistic. They didn't like that it was like it turns like a action movie. You shoot the oxygen tank and the shark explodes. They thought it was they felt like that felt like a different movie. But Spielberg was like, no, it's fine. I guess there's a.
I got a question. What do they want for an ending? A fucking fist fight with a shark? Punch it in the nose. It'll swim away.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, you can't just shoot the shark. You need the shark to explode, basically. We have to know the shark is gone. If Brody gets one shot in, that's not like, I'm not like confident that unless I see the shark explode, I'm like, the shark's still out there. So yeah, I don't know what else, like you had to go with like the action movie. Now, you know, I know Brody's a police chief and he's done some shooting training, but the probability of like that working, just like direct shot, boom. I mean,
to be at least
it worked out perfectly.
Feel better. It was not a one-shot KO. I think it took him the whole round, all the rounds he had
and he was close enough too. It wasn't like bow and arrow through like the 5 Mile forest type thing. But but yeah, they didn't like the ending. But I mean, I guess apparently somewhere earlier in the movie, Brody's looking through some kind of book or magazine about sharks, and he
Yep.
lands on a page that specifically has an oxygen tank in the shark's mouth. So that's supposed to be like foreshadowing the ending. Like he stops on a page that has that picture of the oxygen tank in the shark's mouth, which I don't know if that means maybe he had the idea later on from that or what. But that is somewhere early in the movie that he looks at that picture in a magazine. So
I mean, it would make some sense because I don't know. I mean, I know a shark's power when it comes to its jaws is so strong.
yeah,
Not sure if it would be able to bite straight. What I thought when I saw him throw the tank into the shark's mouth was it was going to bite through, and like
mhm,
the tank shoots like down its throat
yeah,
and killing it there. But
makes sense. Yeah,
you know what? I'm fine with this ending. It's a fun little intense action ending because you got Brody slowly going into the water as he's trying to shoot the shark. The shark just coming straight for him. It's a good intense movie, and there have been times when movies like this, the shark will win. In
yeah.
fact, in real life, the shark probably would have won.
You know what's wild too about this ending? From when from when Hooper first goes into the water, because I looked this up on YouTube and I was shocked. I was like, "What? This doesn't make sense to me." From the time Hooper goes into the water with his plan
Mhm.
to the end, the shark being dead, all of that, Hooper's plan, Quinn dying, and then Brody killing the shark, it's all done in about 9 minutes. It's a 9-minute clip on YouTube where you get the entire ending. I'm like, that's a that's a very action-packed 9 minutes. I in my brain when watching the movie, I'm like, okay, this is like the last 20 minutes starting with the Hooper thing. But it all is done so fast-paced in a 9-minute sequence. All that's only 9 minutes. I'm like, woo, yeah, that's a good ending. That's like you're not wasting stuff. I would just going straight into straight. And I guess it being that fast then makes sense. Maybe Hooper was able to stay at the bottom because it's only like 6-7 minutes that he's down there. So
Yeah, we didn't. I don't know if they said how long an oxygen tank will last him for underwater,
yeah,
but I will say I'm surprised that Quinn wasn't the one who went down in the cage because when the shark attacks and Hooper, gets jumped, drops the thing that's supposed to kill the shark. I feel like if that was Quinn, yeah, the minute he hits the cage, Quinn's going to turn around with the damn poker and stab it right in the mouth like the plan was.
was Quinn just too big for the cage?
I
The
think
size the
that
size of cage
or
seemed like it would feel like a smaller person, but I don't know if Quinn's a pretty
I
big
feel
dude.
like Quinn would have been able to fit in it. It's just you brought it up. He was so set in his ways. He's an older
Yeah,
man who's done this for years and years, probably ever since the World
I
War II when he was stuck in the water, which was a great monologue.
I imagine Quinn was thinking basically maybe a little bit hopeful, but when Hooper goes down, Quinn's thinking this shit's not gonna work. His brain probably was still like this shit's not gonna work. Is like something like beyond like he doesn't understand like a plan like that. Um, like I said, if you watch on the movie the first watch, Quinn's death is truly shocking. It's just like the character's too strong. You just can't see like him actually getting eaten by a shark. So I'm like, it's a pretty shocking scene, I would say. Um, and pretty brutal too. I mean,
I
they
mean,
show
his death
they,
was
they
the
show his
bloodiest.
they show his yeah, you hear his bones cracking. Like that shark is like, yes,
Which
dinner.
for a PG movie, this movie does a lot.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the first PG-13 movie wasn't until like the mid '80s. So back then, I guess you had like G, PG, and R. And I guess PG was given a lot of leniency. Like you had to do a lot to make the jump from PG to R, I guess, because
Most likely nudity because there's no nudity in this, but there was some decent gore. Like you
yeah,
get severed arms, which you see the inside of that severed arm. I think there was one where you see a leg, and the leg is pretty much freshly ripped off. So all the insides is kind of dangling out of the leg. You
yeah.
get those the pictures in that magazine of one guy with a giant gash missing from his thigh because of a shark bite. No, this movie was pretty gory and brutal for a PG movie. I was not expecting.
Well, I don't understand. What was the guidelines for? Okay, PG-13 means that they're recommending that you have to be
13 years
13.
old.
I believe was actually you had to show ID to show you were 17,
Yes.
right? Okay. PG stands for parental guidance.
Yes.
So I don't. What was the thing with that? Could you, if you went there, if you were a kid and you went to a PG movie with no parent, are they letting you in? Or are they? I don't understand. Like what it says
So
parental guidance means you're only supposed to watch this with a parent. So
yeah, so I feel like I can agree that I feel like PG-13 may should be probably classified a little bit under PG because PG is just parental guidance, whereas
yeah,
PG-13 states that when you hit 13, you should be allowed to see that movie without parental guidance.
yeah.
So
So
wouldn't
I'm with you. That's I'm like with PG. Was there any like if you were like 10 years old and you walked up in like PG movie, are they just giving you a ticket and be like, all right, go in? Or are they literally saying, hey, for this PG movie, you have to be accompanied by a parent? That's I'm curious about like what the guidelines were because like R has a cut like show us your ID or 17. P13 is like, I guess I don't remember ever being like asked for my ID for 13, but I guess you have to show you're 13, right?
or
I don't
at least
remember.
look it.
Yeah, but do they ever actually ID like if you were 13 or not? That's
Well,
I'm
no,
actually
you
like,
don't get an ID till you're about 16 with a driver's license.
yeah. So parent was like, so Peter Statement was like, I guess was it something like, okay, you have to be 13, but also you should be accompanied. It's because it's parental guidance 13. You have to be 13, but also with a parent. Because it's parental guidance 13. So I don't understand. But
I,
yeah,
I guess that's supposed to be what it is. You know, you still have to have a parent, but you also have to be 13. Whereas PG, you just need a parent. You can be any age.
but yeah, this as a PG movie, I would be like, wow, yeah, I don't think kids should watch this movie at all. I think,
Especially as a kid dies.
yeah, but growing up, I thought PG movies like yeah, in my brain, I thought PG movies were like kids movies. But now thinking about it, I'm like, well, it's saying in the thing that you should be accompanied by a parent. So I don't know. Anyways,
Also, PG-13 movies have a lot of leeway because they're allowed to say one fuck.
mhm.
They're allowed to, or at least back in the 90s and 80s, they were allowed to show tush. Obviously, I
Oh wow.
can't say the A word, but they were allowed to show tush in the PG-13 in the 90s and 80s.
I don't think anybody said tush since the 80s or 90s. Also, it didn't die because it was a bad word. It's died because nobody says
Well,
that word.
because most people just prefer to say ass. So, oh
Tush.
look, you made me say the damn word, man. It's
Damn it,
Sunday. I'm
Doug.
not supposed to curse.
Oh no. Um. All right. Listen, Jaws, one of those movies were like literally for people watching the movie. One thing I want to comment on too is that we both said this too. Like, there's something about 70s acting, and maybe it's like 80s too, but I can really see it in 70s movies that it's not it's not that they're better actors, but it feels like you're watching a character. It feels like you're watching a real person instead of watching somebody play a character.
Oh,
Like Brody feels like he's an actual existing person. And that with new movies, I don't know what it is. It feels like I'm watching an actor play a role, but I feel like I'm watching a chief police. I don't know. It's weird. I just like
I'm
it. The
pretty
acting
sure.
feels way more natural.
So the way I've always heard it, because I mean, me and you said it, I agree, but the way I've always heard it was obviously in the old days, in the 70s, the 80s, 60s, acting was the biggest part of a movie because they didn't have the ability to do all these special effects to focus on. So you had to focus on the acting.
Right.
So really, acting was the biggest art form when it comes to movie making.
Hmm.
Whereas in the 80s, they started going into your more effects because that's when we started getting more shitty characters.
Yeah.
And then 90s, it was more focused on CG, started focusing more on CGI along with, mixing
Yeah.
CGI and effects. So again, acting started taking more of a downhill slope there. And I just noticed the progression. The more the effects are becoming more of the film, the art form, acting
Hmm.
is going downhill the most.
I wonder that too is something about like the directors and all that. They have so much to focus on in terms of like the visual effects now that's like maybe they're not giving the same amount of attention to the actors. Like, I mean, acting with like a green screen, all that stuff like that, that's all got to be weird anyways. The actors have come on and said like for like superhero movies, it's like you're just you're just filming it from a screen, so it's not like a real thing. It's like
Well, hell, then
someone telling you that a car is coming at you and you having to act is not the same as like actually seeing a car come at you. So yeah, knowing that everything back then, even if you watch like Alien or knowing that everything you're watching is not computerized, it's a real thing happening. Every actor's reaction is like genuine. Even people are complaining that even like the Happy Gilmore movie, like that's like half the movie's like with a green screen. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but like
a few of the scenes are, but I feel like just like the original Happy Gilmore, a good amount of the golfing scenes were filmed on a golf course.
yeah.
Maybe not the last bit because they were all like different bejangles.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't talk about it. It's still kind of new, and I would spoil it. But
I don't know. There's nothing would surprise me because there was like a thing I saw online where they were showing pictures and they were like, guess what's the CGI? And like the one famously was like Samuel Jackson's like he comes into a room and everything looks really normal and the room is pretty like elaborate, but you're like, okay, maybe that's whatever. And like he pulls out a gun to shoot somebody, and like the twist was like the gun he pulls out is CGI, so he never actually pulls out a gun. And
so
you're like the gun itself is computerized, and it's such a weird thing. It's
I'll
like,
say yes and no to that because I've heard the same thing. But what it is they gave him like a really bad looking prop to
okay,
act as the gun, so he still had the hand motion. He still had everything he needed to simulate it.
yeah,
But they had a CGI to make it look real.
but that's the thing. So nowadays there's a little bit more like we can fix it in editing with CGI, right? Back then you didn't have that option. So like during the actual filming, there's probably a little more attention on like we have to get everything exactly correct here in the filming. We can't just fix it in the editing with computers. So I think that maybe gives more attention to detail to earlier back stuff back then. Whereas now they probably not to say half-ass things, but they're probably like that. We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in editing. We'll, or we'll intentionally make it weird so that we have more options to change it in editing. So there's a lot of stuff going on there that just makes like the acting and a lot of stuff feel less natural. My next step is to watch Jaws 2 and then to act like Jaws 3 and 4 do not exist because I've been told that they are probably the worst movies of all time. So
Well, and also, y'all don't have to go home, but if you are the guy who stole my 50th anniversary copy of Jaws,
that's so sad.
why, man? I mean, I guess I can't blame that person because Amazon messed me up. They
I was saying,
threw it in front of the building.
can you petition Amazon? Like tell them that you
I already got my
motherfuckers.
money back for it.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay.
I got my refund. It's just don't. There's a reason why I have on like the delivery instructions to put it in front of my apartment door, not my building door.
But that feels like if you're the delivery person, right? That feels like common sense. Like if you're delivering food, you would never think you're putting out the door of the apartment building. You would always think I'm going to the apartment itself. Like I feel like that's the combination of Amazon and that is like an incompetent delivery person too.
Well, then there's plenty of them because I can't tell you how many times I ordered DoorDash and it be in front of my building door instead of my apartment door. I guarantee the people probably open up the door, see the steps right there, right in
Wow.
front of the door.
Now this person or sister, are we led to believe that someone who lives in your apartment was like, "Ooh, Jaws," and picked
No,
up like, "Yeah."
what I
So
think it is they just
someone had a
saw an
ticket.
Amazon package
So yeah,
in
someone
front of the
took it.
building door and just grabbed it.
That's bold to just like, because if I'm that person, I'm looking at the name first, be like, "Oh, yep, not for me." But they saw your name and said, "Oh, I'm taking this." Like that's
Well,
shady. That's shady neighbors too. I'm sorry, but that's
yeah,
shady.
well, to be fair, I don't really blame the neighbors as much because a lot of them are older, so their eyesight probably isn't all that great.
What if
So
you
maybe they saw the 45 section, they saw the C.
what if you're sitting in your apartment one of these days, right? You're just sitting laid back, and the neighbors you're listening, and you hear somebody who's watching Jaws very loudly in one of the neighbors' apartments, and
That
you're like, oh shit,
motherfucker.
you already know. You're like, oh yeah, you're watching my Jaws. Yeah, okay, room 551. All right.
You're right.
My
I'm gonna
John.
get you back.